Hey.
I'm coming to pay my debt.
Oh.
These kind of things
so
really
sure.
bother me.
I understand.
That I forget. Okay, just to you, right?
Yeah, just to me is fine.
Okay. How close did she get with her goal?
You know, I'm not really sure. I don't know what everybody else has done, to be honest with you.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Okay, we are live for Google Domination. Get a lock with Docs. We're going to talk about Google Docs today, and I'm hoping that it will be an informative session for you and helpful. There's a lot to unpack within Google Docs, just to be perfectly honest. And so I started on my calendar, and one thing I want you to remember, and I need to get that image up here. Give me just a second. Okay, there we go. So I started on my calendar, and if you'll remember, on any Google platform that you're on, if you are within the Google platform, zoom in just a little bit so you can see this. I call this the waffle up here. They've changed it to a series of little dots, so the waffle doesn't work for me very well anymore. But we're going to stick with the waffle. Waffles, pancakes, and syrup are the things that I always stress to people. Look for those things especially in Google products. If you see a waffle, you see 3 little drops of syrup, or you see 3 lines that look like pancakes. That's where you can find the good stuff. So, okay. So I've clicked on the waffle, and here, if you click the more, you'll see that Docs is right here. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I do not spend time going to Google Docs, and here's why. It's kind of like opening Word and seeing all of your Word documents in one place, rather than seeing all documents and files all documents and files organized. So these are the things that I have here, and we're going to go from there and just go to Drive, because if you notice there, there were several things just kind of all over the place, and it's very difficult to see. So what I would do is I would go to Drive, which of course this is going to be slow to open. I would go to Drive, and I would click on New, and I would choose a document. So I'm going to go ahead and click New and choose Google Doc. Rather than going to Drive, the one thing that you can do if you go to, rather than going to Docs, the one thing that you can do if you go directly over to Docs is you can open things from a particular type of template. You can apply a template to that. So, you do have some options. So I'm going to just go and I'm going to find some text to paste into my document just real quick. Maybe real quick. So we'll go to the Lipsum generator here, and we will just get quite a bit of this text right here. And we'll just go ahead and get it as it is. So I just copied that. I'm going to come back over to my document, and let me change my fit here. I want to fit that to the screen. And I'll just, if you prefer to right click and paste, you can do that. Some people prefer to use keyboard shortcuts. I definitely prefer keyboard shortcuts. Sorry, I keep hearing noise outside my office. I definitely prefer keyboard shortcuts. So let me just say something here real quick about these 2 different pastes. So if I just paste, it's going to take my destination or my source formatting. If I paste without formatting, it's going to paste it in with my destination formatting. So if I already have some formatting over here, then, and I want it to look like that, then I can Command-Shift-V, or on your PC that would be Control-Shift-V, or I can just Control or Command-V and paste. So I'll just do that, And you can see that we got a little bit of formatting carried over here. We've got this is like indented and some just weird, kind of weird things like that. But we'll play with the words and see if we can't figure things out here. So, when you're in a Google Doc, if you want to title your document, so you just click up there on the title, which is usually untitled document. It will generally pick up whatever the first few words are once you click there. So if you have like a header and it has the name of your document, it'll generally pick that up. So let's go from here. So we know that if you want to share a document, this is very much like using Drive. You can do the same thing within Drive. You can get your shareable link. You can go to advanced sharing and change how it's shared. You can enter people's email address. So we can do that. We can notify people or not. All the same things that we talked about last week with Google Drive. All of the sharing settings are all the same. The other thing that's kind of nice here is if you make a document, you can ignore the Google Plus button there, as Google Plus no longer exists. But it will take your link and go directly to these programs. It'll open a mail page, those kinds of things. So that's really nice. The other thing is, I think I mentioned this last week, if you send a link via email, it will automatically say, hey, do you want to share this document with that person? Or do you want to not share this document with that person? So it automatically looks at your sharing settings whenever you send stuff to people. The other things that you can do, I don't think, yeah, I can make that bigger too. I want to be sure that you can see all of these options. If you want to paste the item itself into the email so that they can just click directly on it. If you want to prevent editors from changing access. If you want to disable their ability to download, print, or copy for commenters and viewers, so you can keep people from downloading, from printing. I would be interested to know does it just take away the option to print, or does it actually prevent them from printing? That would be interesting to know. So I'll cancel out of this because I'm not actually going to share that, but that's sharing settings. And that's just exactly like it is over on Drive. Okay, so we'll start with the ruler right here, and there's not a whole lot, kind of from this point on, there's not a gigantic amount of stuff that's that different than using Word. All of your formatting options, things like that, if you want to insert an image, you have all of these options. If you want to add a comment, so if you highlighted something, you can click over here to add a comment, or you can click up here. If you want to insert a link, it gives you the keyboard shortcut, which I like keyboard shortcuts. One of the nice things that it will do, and I think that does the same thing in Word, is you can actually link within your document. So if you have a significantly large document, you can click and do a link and just hit apply. And so now, when I click on this link, it takes me down here to the heading that I chose. So that's kind of a nice little thing, especially in significantly large documents. It's very helpful. Okay, so this I have as heading 2, and I think this is probably one of the most underused, is the text style is underused. And that's really important for accessibility. Accessibility, when someone uses a screen reader, they can have their screen reader read the headings for them, so they don't have to go through all of the text. They can quickly get to the part of the document that they need to get to. So I would encourage you to use headings, use normal text. So this down here, you'll see that this changed to normal text. And this right here, you'll see that changed to heading. And so if I want to change that to the title, then I can change it, and you'll notice that it changed from this heading 2 style to the title style. One other little shortcut that I'll mention is, let's say I don't like this as my title style. I'd really prefer to have it in Cambria, and I'd prefer to have it as 36 instead of 26. So for any of these styles, I can tell it to update the title to match this current thing. So if I click Update Title to Match, now the next time I change something to title, it will automatically format it just like this was. So again, I think that's probably underused. I'm going to undo that. I think that's styles are way underused, and I would encourage you to look into styles and start using those, especially if you're creating stuff for someone who might ever, if you think you ever might have someone who is visually impaired and would use a screen reader. And the time to fix those things is not when you have someone who's visually impaired. The time to fix those things is now, so that they're already set up once you get someone who is visually impaired in your classroom. Okay, a couple of other things. Something that I noticed the other week that people did not know about is, so I'm just going to highlight all of this down here. I'm going to highlight these words, and I'm going to just change it all to normal text. Now if I go back and I want this right here to be, I want that to go back to heading 2. So I can click on somewhere that I have heading 2, and I can click the paintbrush, and then I just come down and paint that, and it changes it. Now, the difference between Word and Google Docs here is that Word will keep that paintbrush on until you turn it off, but Google Docs makes you turn the paintbrush on every time you want to use it. So I have to click the paintbrush again, and then click it again to change, you know, whatever I need to change to that, which that's already like that. So now that doesn't matter if it's just for styles. Let's say that we changed this text to Calibri, and so I want to change several things to bold. So I click the paint format, and I can highlight this, and it formats it just exactly like what I have right here. So don't forget to use that paintbrush. That's pretty important in Word. Okay. So I'm going to change this back because I want it to apply normal text to that. And so all I did was click on normal text, and it changed all of that. Okay, so notice that in the ruler right here, this paragraph is indented, is not indented actually. So I'm going to click over here, and I want all of this to be indented exactly the same. So if I highlight all of that, which all I did to highlight that was I clicked on one word, and then I held down the Shift button, and I clicked on the last word, and it highlighted everything. So now I can change this indentation where everything moves back over. I would encourage you to look at that when you have a numbered list or something like that. Highlight the entire numbered list. So let's say that I have this, and this, and this, and we're just going to pretend that that is a numbered list. I know it doesn't make any sense that it would be, but for the purposes of an example. Numbered list. Okay, so if I want to change the indentation of this one part right here, I can do that, just the first line. But more than likely, you would want to change the entire numbered list, or that's called an ordered list and an unordered list in HTML. So you numbered list and a bulleted list. The other way that you can do that is you can increase or decrease the indent. So again, you've got lots of options to do things. I prefer actually using the little markers in the ruler, but that's just me. Alrighty, what else should we talk about? Let me talk about this mode right here. I'm going to skip over all of these tools because if you know how to use Word at all, you probably know how to use pretty much all of this. In Google Docs, we have multiple modes. We have editing, we have suggesting, and we have viewing. So if I want to put this into viewing and not see all my toolbar went away and everything, it's a lot cleaner to look at. This is basically like the print mode of Word. So that's what my document would look like, or I can go back to editing. Or the really nice thing, and this is something that's good if you're one of those like, I want to be sure that my changes were made or whatever, is you can go into suggesting mode and you can say, like, we need to add a space above that, so add space before paragraph, and it automatically comments that I think there should be spacing before this. And so if you come in and you like that, you're the owner of the document or whatever, you come in and you can just click check and accept my suggestion. And all of that will be in the comment history. It'll be in the comment stream. And so you'll be able to, if you're a track changes kind of person, having people work in suggestion mode and then using that comment stream, that's a really nice way to do that. So basically it's akin to, you can accept a suggestion if you actually leave a comment. So if you click on a comment, can we reword this? And click comment. You could come in and resolve that, and that would hide that comment, but you're never going to lose anything because there is always going to be a comment stream here. And all editors of the document will be able to see that. Not all viewers of the document will be able to see that. Commenters and suggesters will be able to do that, but they won't necessarily be able to see the entire stream. Okay, so that's modes, and let's look at just a couple of other things. One thing that I noticed is, and for this paragraph, I really need to change this because it's got the strange margin there, so that's a little bit better. Okay, let's look at tools for just a minute. One thing, probably the second most underused thing, or maybe the first most underused thing ever, is voice typing. And because I'm using my microphone to stream, I can't show you that, but I will just tell you, if you use the voice functions on your phone to speak texting, number one, if you're not using that, you should, but voice typing works much the same way, and Google has unleashed their AI on all the translations, Google Translate, Google Assistant on Android phones and things like that. And so it is really, really good at what it does. You click voice typing and then you click the microphone and you start speaking, and if you speak punctuation, you can speak things like new line and it'll do a hard return for you and those kinds of things. This could really change the way that you write because, sorry about that, I thought I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. It can really change the way you type because it's even more train of thought, which maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's not a good thing, I don't know. But voice typing, for sure, as a professor, if I think about things like leaving comments, voice typing is a really good thing. The other thing I'll mention is a script editor. You can put, let's say that we're going to do something like, we're going to make this into a report, and we do something like this, and we do something like, we'll keep adding some things like this, such as student ID, and so on. Okay, so we have a templated document that we're going to take information from a spreadsheet, and we're going to pull it over and put it into this document after we make a copy. Now, the reason we would do that is because we would want to do large volumes of documents. So if you have information in a spreadsheet, let's say that you have a certificate from a professional development that you did. You could have a template certificate, and you could go and put every person's name in there, make a copy of the document, put their name in, share it with them. Make a copy of the document, put another person's name in, share it with them, and so on. Or you can do a little bit of JavaScript, just a little, and use the script editor and replace things like the first person's name, the second person's ID, and maybe this is an email address. Oops, email. And it would also, basically anything you can do with a document, anything that you can do with Drive, anything that's repetitive, you can automate that process with JavaScript. So we'll spend a little bit of time in another session talking more about that. I just want you to be aware that it's there. And we'll that's the script editor. There are also add-ons here. So let's get some add-ons. Let's just look at the add-ons. And I'll just tell you what add-ons are. Add-ons are things that people have done with JavaScript, and they've submitted it to Google as something that anybody can use. So nice here, you can translate the document. I'm pretty sure that translates, it either translates into another document or it will just translate that document for you. There are some charts that you can do. Lucid Charts is a good one. Table of contents, we can actually do that ourselves. We don't need an add-on for that. There's some mail merge things in here that you can do, and some other things here, some different clip art and stuff like that. So I've not spent a lot of time in here, but there are a lot of things in add-ons that are specific to Google Docs. So I saw some rubrics down there, teachers. Might be something that you'd be interested in. So let's close out of the add-ons, and that made me think of something that I wanted to tell you. So on your insert, number one, you can do table of contents, and that's where the headings come in. So if I click table of contents with page numbers, oops, I don't want to add that there. I want to go to the very top of the document, and I'm going to do a hard return. Let's make that normal text. And I'm actually going to come here and do a page break. So I'll come back up here to the top of my document, and I click Insert, Table of Contents with page numbers. Let's refresh. Let's see. Why is our table of contents not working as it should? Why do we use it? Maybe that is, why do we use it? So this is heading 2. Oh, that's why, because that changed to normal text. There you go. So now you can see what the table of contents will pick up. It picks up the headings. I forgot I had changed those. So now, if I come back up here, and I can show you how this will automatically pull those other things in. So we hit Update, and now I have the other things that I made heading 2. One of the things that you want to be careful of, that's why I made this a title, because it doesn't pick up the title. It only picks up heading 1, 2, and 3, and you should be able to choose the levels that that goes to. The really nice thing, though, is this makes a link. So again, in a large document like a student handbook or something like that, it takes care of the page numbers for you. It even links to the headings. You don't have to worry about, well, what page is this on and what page is that on? So stop doing a manual table of contents and let Google Docs or Word do your table of contents for you. The other thing I wanted to mention about inserting is I'm gonna come down here below my table of contents. There we go. Insert. And insert a Google drawing. So I'll talk about drawing probably in a shorter session later, maybe in a miscellaneous tools. But I can just click a new drawing and it opens this up for me. And notice this is a checkerboard, so it's the background of it is clear. It's transparent, I should say. And so I can put an image in here and I can mark that image up with a text box. Let's see what kind of images I have. Let's see what we've got here. So let's go with Google Docs. So I'll just search for Google Docs and I get this right here and I hit select and now I have that. Oops, did not work. Only when you are streaming do things like that happen. So I won't worry about the image, but create a text box, start typing in there. Here is some text and notice that it automatically caught my spelling error. And I can change the size of that text box and things like that. Now, there's a lot more that you can do here versus just text boxes. You can do lots of shapes. So if you've got a person and you want to put, you want to put this on there for them. So we're going to make that transparent or maybe white behind it. We'll do white. And so let's go back over and let me get rid of this text box and I'll take a snapshot from my camera. Maybe I can do that. Let's try it. Take a snapshot. Okay, so that's not going to work. Never mind. I was going to take a picture of myself and do a call out. I mean, you can make stuff like this. It's just it's a rounded rectangle with a triangle here pulled off the bottom of it. And, you can put a text box in there, put a transparent text box inside there so that this is what I had to say. And we can change. What's nice is it automatically does that as a transparent text box. So, okay. And hit save and close, and now it's going to put that into my document. Now, I don't like the way that looks. It kind of pixelated things. And so I'm going to change that just a little bit. And so this is my whole drawing, and I can do that inline or wrap the text or break the text or whatever. So you've got lots of options, and that's putting a drawing in. So I would encourage you to play with drawings. There are a lot of creative things that you can do with drawings as far as comments and things like that. Of course, in Google Docs, you can do things like tables and stuff like that. One of my favorite things, especially if I paste a lot of stuff from another place, is just to hit this clear the formatting. And that clears the formatting on everything. So if there's weird looking formatting in there, different colors and stuff like that, you can change that just by clearing the formatting. Now what it doesn't do is it does not change your title formatting or your header formatting, which is good. So I think that's probably about all there is to Google Docs. I'm sure there are a billion things that I'm missing. One thing I will mention are just these two things right here, and then we'll move on. And by move on, I mean be done. If you click that folder, this tells you where this is. And so remember last week I used this folder when I was talking about Drive. And I can move things. Remember the super secret adding things, which you have to do in Drive. Adding documents to other folders. rather than moving folders or moving documents around. But this shows me that it's just in my Drive right now because I just created it from Drive. So I haven't organized it and put it anywhere. So I'll just put it into that folder. You even have the option to do some organization here by creating new folders. So if I move it there, everybody's going to see it. Yes, I'm okay with that. And so now my document is there. I have the option to undo that or dismiss. So I've got options there. And then, of course, the last thing I'll say is you can star this and make it one of your favorites so that whenever you go over to Google Drive, you can just go to your favorites and it'll be there. So I hope that this has been somewhat informative for you on Google Docs. If you're familiar with Word, then using Google Docs is not going to be that much different. But I do know that there are a lot of tools in both Word and Google Docs that that are not used. The paintbrush, the table of contents, and automatically doing that. Notice these are links here, by the way, in my table of contents. Those show as links, and so do the page numbers. The main thing that you have to do with that is you just have to remember to come back and refresh it after you make changes. So like I say, I hope this has been good. I hope it's been informative, and I appreciate you being here. And we'll talk to you later. So have a fantastic weekend.